So it's taken us 5 years of dating, 2 years of engagement, and about 3 days to really get pumped up for this event. Um, Being the best man, I kind of have to start out by saying Jesse and I were always close growing up. And it was one of those things that nobody messed with us. We were always the younger two, the closest in age. And so we always took up for each other. And I have plenty of stories to tell that last too long, and a bunch of the older people here would fall asleep by then. But I'm trying to keep it super sweet and simple. But being 2 years apart, like I said, we were always close and always loved each other. We fought a lot, not a lot of blood, but some. But we always ended up being friends in the end, and I was just tickled to death that he asked me to be his best man for the speech here for his wedding. But the story goes, like I said, a long ways back. When Jesse come to me and was like, I think I want to marry Tay. I was not thrilled whatsoever, because Tay and I didn't like each other at first. Matter of fact, I told Jesse he should break up with her multiple times. And by multiple times, I mean like tens of dozens of times. And then they got serious, and I was like, darn it, I better start liking her. And it rocked on a little bit of them dating. And like I said, I started to like her. Started trying to like her, let me put it like that. And went over to her house one day, and she had a pool, so that was a plus. Really liked the pool. But on a more serious note, that I'm not really a serious guy, so it's kind of hard to say. But you start out looking at Jesse, and he's this big old ugly guy, kind of like myself, and a little slimmer than I am. Not proud to say that, but he's always had a big old heart, and it's one of them things that I've always admired about him, because he's like I said, big old ugly guy, mean guy, but he's got a good heart. And when him and Tay first got together, I kind of figured out that they were going to get married when he actually said he cared for her. And whenever Tay's house was hit real bad by a tornado, Jesse come down and helped him clean up and clean stuff out of the pool. I was there to swim, but I helped clean stuff out of the pool mostly. And we helped, and that kind of proved to me that Jesse really liked her. Then they moved in together, and I was like, "Ooh, big step, big step." And they turned around and they figured out moving in together isn't really just a great idea. Being around each other all the time. And Jesse, he ain't the cleanest fella, and Tay, she kind of an OCD gal, so that kind of sparked arguments every once in a while. They would fight and bicker, and I'd go swim to get away from them. I'd come back in, they'd be all made up and everything. And I spent many nights on their couch. And it rocked on a little bit longer, and Jesse said, "Hey man, let's go shopping." And for him to say that, I knew something was up, because Jesse and I, we don't shop. So we went shopping. We rode to Camden and then to El Dorado and looked at guns and all that manly stuff. And we come back through Camden. He said, "I got to make one last stop." And I was like, "Uh-oh." So we stopped at a jewelry store. We walked in, and Jesse said, "Hey, Mr. Banks, how are you?" That's the owner of the jewelry store. He said, "Mr. Clark, I'm good. How about yourself?" He said, "Are you here to pick up that item we talked about?" He said, "Yes, sir, I am." So Jesse walked over there, and he picked up this little blue box, velvety box. Showed it to him, and it was an engagement ring. And I kind of chuckled to myself, knowing that they were actually going to get engaged. He went home and stuck it in a gun cabinet. And every time they'd fight, he'd buy another gun. She'd be like, "Well, why don't you buy me another ring?" And he said, "Well, ring's in the gun cabinet." She never thought he was being serious. Go look. But we started out, he kept it for about 6 months. And I can remember the day pretty clear. We showed up for a Father's Day event. Both of our fathers there celebrating them. Going to cook fajitas for them. That's what it was, fajitas. And she turned around, and Taylor's mom had a shirt. It had fiance, or had girlfriend marked out and had fiance. And Tay said, well, I didn't think I was going to get this till he actually proposed. Tay said, or Miss Amy said, well, I guess you got it early. When Tay turned around and looked at Jesse, he was on the knee and had the ring out and everything. And I know this is kind of a drawn out story for this, but it makes sense in the end, because we, like I said, 5 years of dating. There's been 2 nephews born, multiple deaths on both sides of the family. They were always there for each other. Jesse getting his career up and going and starting new things, gunsmithing and stuff along there. Tay finishing up college this year. And so just seeing a lot of trials that both of them have been through, and seeing them always be good together at the end. So if I had to say one thing about this whole big shenanigan that they're calling a wedding, is I'm glad that I got a sister, and I hope her family is glad that they got Jesse and her family, because we sure are glad to have Tay and ours. Thank you.